Here is the Dromida Ominus, which is looking more and more like the next hot micro or mini quad to have. There are a lot of reviews popping up on some great RC channels, so this won't be an in-depth look into the quad itself. TheRcSaylors, FlyinRyanRC, AroundTuit, and BlueFlyer to name a few. I'll put links to those reviews in the info section. Suffice it to say, this is an aggressive looking quad with the features you would expect in terms of flight modes and stunts. The price is great compared to the more expensive Alias. The Alias does have more power and the optional accessories. But let's get right to the reason I picked this one up. FPV. Here is the little 5.8 camera transmitter mounted on the Ominus. Just a little servo tape and some Velcro for the battery. Testing with the camera unit on the quad, there was good power. Not ballistic, but good. Flips are still possible and flying speed is not an issue. Since we're adding weight to the quad, I would recommend shortening the flights a little, maybe 5 minutes or so, and I had no problems getting about 5 minutes of flight per battery pack. Let the motors cool a little bit afterwards since you are flying with that extra weight. I do recommend trimming the quad line of sight before going to FPV. Adding the camera and extra battery may require some trim adjustment, and you'll want the quad trimmed nicely. Let's go to the FPV video. Now the video here is not exactly what you get through the goggles. The video breakup is different since I'm using a recorder that has its own separate receiver. The goggles had less breakup, and that may be in part to using blue beam antennas on the goggles versus spironets on the recorder. The recorded video is also slightly different field of view. After that, it gets converted from an AVI file to MP4 and then compressed when uploaded. So even though it is basically run through the wash a few times, I still feel like the recorded video is giving you a pretty good idea of what you can expect with the setup. I may eventually get some Fat Shark Dominators, and those have a built-in DVR, which will give you exactly what you're seeing through the goggles. You might be tempted to put the FPV camera on the 200QX. I'm sure that will work well, and you'll have a more powerful quad with the brushless outrunners instead of the gear drive with the Ominus. But be careful with the stock frame if you're going to do proximity flying. You'll likely crack on the first impact. There are some options to upgrade the 200QX to carbon fiber, which is really more suitable to FPV. I took the time to focus the camera this time, which is very easy to do. There is minimal vibration related jello with just putting the camera on the quad with a patch of servo tape. The oscillation did worsen in higher winds, so be aware of that. This worked best in low to no wind conditions. With the Ominus and the stock transmitter, it feels like the radio range limit is about the same as the FPV video limit, and that's somewhere between 250 and 300 feet. The signal held up when flying through a small patch of trees and the playground equipment. You won't be able to fly the quad a long distance into the trees, but you can use a small area for some fun flying. These flights were done in normal mode. I still felt like there was enough control response to fly through trees and the other obstacles. Although you'll want the quad in the more advanced modes and eventually manual if you really want to fly some aggressive FPV. I'm not ready to take off the training wheels yet. I did fly a few auto flips FPV, which is new and sort of interesting thing to try. Since this quad is not overpowered and it does take a little time to sort of spool up, be careful when descending. With the extra weight, there were times it would kind of wallow out and bounce off the ground. The Ominus and the camera took plenty of hits related to my amateur FPV piloting. Lots of tree, playground equipment, and ground impacts, and so far everything is held up without even breaking a prop. The only issue is the servo tape can get loose, so keep an eye on it. I did manage to knock the camera entirely off the quad more than once. Everything kept right on working. On this particular impact into the pole, the camera lost its plastic housing, but I found it, stuck it all back together, and it kept working. Now, I'm not saying the Ominus or FPV unit is indestructible because, well, is anything really indestructible? It may be luck they have survived my piloting so far, so keep that in mind. If you hit anything hard enough in the right spot, things will break. This really takes a mini quad to the next level of fun. I do enjoy flying these quads line of sight, but becoming immersed in the flight is an experience you just have to try out. So you just need to find an empty playground, backyard, or cluster of trees for some quad proximity flying. The Dromida Ominus and Spektrum Ultra Micro FPV camera make a great combination for some real RC fun. I think this is a great way to start if you wanted to get into proximity flying, but don't want to break the bank on a 250 size quad and risk a nice camera among other things. Plus, you can skip the setup and really start FPV flying in the time it takes to charge the battery and stick the camera on the quad. This quad and camera can take some hits while you learn how to pilot through obstacles. For an $80 quad and a $100 FPV system that only needs a set of goggles, it's pretty tough to beat. Thanks for watching, guys, and please feel free to give a thumbs up or subscribe. I really do appreciate that, and I will see you flying next time.